taking a look at Glock's newest generation of their pistols, Generation 5, specifically the Model 17 and 19, respectively in 9mm. Now on to its 5th generation of pistols, you may be asking yourself, what has Glock done differently over the Gen 4 that would justify a Generation 5? I consider myself lucky. I was able to get a hold of the Model 19 and the Model 17 early before they were even officially released, and was able to spend a little bit of trigger time on them. Collectively between the two, I've witnessed or participated in around 1,200 rounds of ammunition fired between both guns. Special thanks to West Coast Armory Indoor Range for making that happen. They're located in Bellevue, Washington. Check them out, links in the description. We will start off with the most visually obvious thing, and personally my favorite improvement, and that is the lack of finger grooves on the pistol. Personally, I don't like an engineer telling me where I can and cannot put my hands on the Glock, and without the finger grooves, the guns themselves feel much better, and I think it'll fit a wider variety of hand sizes. They have also made a few other ergonomic changes to the gun. One very subtle change that they've done is actually done a slight undercut on the trigger guard as well as radius the sides. The grip texture on the new generation guns is also quite nice. It's not quite as wide as the Generation 4 guns, but yet it's not quite as fine as the Gen 3 RTF2 frames. It's somewhere in between. It's not too aggressive, but it's also not too slippery. It's a really good balance of grip texture. Just like the previous Generation 4 Glocks, the Generation 5 Glocks also retain the ability to add back straps to the gun. The gun comes with 4 back straps. The frame is considered a small, the back strap sizes range to medium to large, and they also have another set of medium to large that has a beaver tail extension on the back. Another drastic change over the previous generation Glocks is the introduction of a ambidextrous slide stop and release. If you're a left-handed shooter, you can now shoot the Glock series of handguns the same way as a right-handed shooter can. The slide release is also slightly extended, but not in the way you might think. It actually tapers out of the gun. It's kind of hard to explain and you have to really see it in person for it to make sense, but the slide lock is much easier to manipulate overall. One downside to having an ambidextrous slide lock that's also extended is that it increases the width of the pistol itself. We found that some holsters fit way too tight for our liking on the newest generation of Glocks, but we also found a multitude of holsters that work just fine. So if you are one of those guys that are looking to buy a new generation Glock and already have holsters for it, be careful because your holsters may not fit very well and may require some modification of either the gun or preferably the holster. The magazine release is also left-hand friendly. You can swap it over to the other side of the gun just like the previous generations. One small note about the Gen 5 magazine release is that it's slightly extended over the Generation 4. It's a little bit easier to get to and I like it quite a bit. Alright, so let's talk about the trigger on the Generation 5 series of pistols. It's phenomenal. It's really good. It may even be one of the best, if not the best, current striker-fired production trigger on the market today. I believe the improvements in the trigger has to do with the vast amount of internal differences seen in the Generation 5 Glocks. Because of the new improvements, they were definitely able to make the trigger pull a lot better. Another big change made to this generation is the finish on the metal components like the slide barrel and other small parts. It's very durable from what we found. We've experienced little to no wear on the barrel hood as well as the actual barrel itself, and the slide virtually looks brand new out of the box after everything we've done. At one point in testing, we ran 300 rounds to the gun in very rapid succession, non-stop, and the slide still looked like it was brand new afterwards, same with the barrel. A very intriguing change they've made to this generation of Glocks is the introduction of the Glock match barrel. This is present on all new Generation 5 series of pistols and is designed to help increase your accuracy potential. In the short amount of time I had the guns, the max distance I was able to shoot was at 20 yards. In our testing, we found that the guns would consistently print 1 to 1.5 inch groups with just standard factory ammunition. To be completely honest, I don't see a huge improvement over the previous generation guns, at least at 20 yards, so in the future we'll definitely have to take the guns at a little bit farther distance and compare all generations side by side. The magazines are also a little bit different this time around. The base plates themselves in the front are extended just a few millimeters, to make them a lot easier to rip out of the gun. The frame of the gun itself also complements that with a small cutout in the front, giving you ample room to stick your entire thumb or finger in there to rip out a magazine in case you have any serious problems. The magazine follower is also orange now, giving you much better contrast when your slide's locked open, as well as much better contrast with the witness holes in the back of the magazine to check how much ammo you have in a partially filled magazine. Now let's talk iron sights, or in this case, plastic sights again. Unfortunately, the Generation 5 Glocks, at least the standard version, still utilize polymer sights. Now, what's good at least is the new polymer sights are a little bit stronger than the previous generation of sights, as well as they're a little bit easier to see. The rear notch is a little bit deeper, so instead of having to cut your front dot in half like you did on previous generations to line up the sights, you can now just put the drop in the bucket and you can see your sights much easier this time around. But unfortunately they're still plastic, and I would recommend still changing them out. One other small detail is the slide has been radiused and dehorned near the muzzle end of the gun. This will make going into a holster much easier, as well as it may prolong the life of some softer holsters that you may have used before. Another one of my personal favorite changes has to do with the extractor. It's been completely reworked. In some of the older previous generation guns, they had a tendency to eject straight back and hit people in the eye protection or in the forehead. The two model Glocks that we had to test this time around did not do that at all. In fact, they both had a hard right and forward ejection pattern, keeping the brass away from the shooter's face. So all in all, the new generation of Glocks are really nice. Am I going to go out and sell my Gen 3 and Gen 4 Glocks just to replace small Gen 5s? No, I'm not. But if you're in the market for a Glock handgun and you either don't have one or you're looking for a new one, I would go with the Generation 5 Glocks. I think the new features, all in all, make the gun a great package for any type of shooter. It fills the needs of your everyday folks purchasing firearms and just having a gun for home defense, and I feel like it also fills the need of people who shoot more and can appreciate the small subtle differences done in certain areas, as well as the big differences done overall. I only have a few gripes with the guns, one of which being the standard options having plastic sights, but we've already talked about that earlier. The other thing is more of something I would have liked to see this generation and I was hoping for, and that would be forward cocking serrations on the gun. Although I do understand why they would have kept it out, it would add cost to the overall price, and for most people they probably wouldn't use them anyway, but again, it's just one of those things I would have liked to see. The biggest con for me by far would be the size of the ambi slide stop and release, causing compatibility issues with current holsters out of the market for Glock series of handguns. We sort of touched on it earlier, and the market probably will compensate for this problem very fast, being it a Glock series of pistols, but it does stink for those who have holsters already that may not work with the gun. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you did. We'll be sticking around for a little bit to answer any questions about the Generation 5 Glocks that you may have. Feel free to leave those in the comment section below. Remember to subscribe to check out some awesome Swagger Downrange content, and also give us a follow on Instagram. We post a lot of cool stuff that you may not see on YouTube. Thanks for watching.